Okay, hi guys. Thanks for coming in. We appreciate you all jumping in. As you can see, this is not Vincenzo in the other seat today. Unfortunately, he had a bit of an emergency, so Sarah Moore at the last minute has volunteered her services to jump in and give you some tips. Today's show is going to be a little bit different. This is our tips and trends show relating to live streaming. It's normally a 45-minute show, but we are actually changing the show slightly today in the fact that, as you can see, I am sat broadcasting from a car in what is very cold Bournemouth in the south coast of the UK. So what we're going to be discussing today is actually live streaming by not live streaming, which may sound strange when we say it, but what we mean is all of the elements that surround live streaming that aren't actually necessarily the live stream. There's a couple of things that will be relating to the live stream itself and how you do that, but the majority of the stuff we're going to discuss today is relating to what you do off of your broadcast. So yeah, we'll be discussing that today. So sorry, I'm just getting hijacked. Check this out. This is how live streaming goes. This is Scott. Hey, Scott, Sarah.
How you doing?
Sarah,
you
Scott,
right?
and everybody over here. Everybody over here, give some props to Scott. Come on, don't be mean. Look, this is first time of Blab. Look at this. Yay!
First time for everything.
So yeah. So Sarah, other than okay, so let's go pre-live stream. What's kind of some hints and tips we can give people for what they should do prior to their live streams, whether it's here or Periscope and things like that, in order to bring an audience and to give the best kind of quality broadcast they can?
One, if you know you're going to stream, put it out on your social media channels. I am terrible at this. I rely on the fact that I have a sizable audience for myself on Periscope, and so like when I Periscope, I don't tend to actually tell people I'm going to because it's spur of the moment. But especially if you're starting out, you don't have a lot of numbers, tell people on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, wherever you are. So do that. Secondly, if you're newish or you're not, you're like me. So my brain goes like this, and I never keep on track. Okay. So if you're like me, and you need to stay on track, just write down little notes. So I never write a script, but it's like, if I want to talk about like the 5 top social media platforms to be using in 2016, I'm going to write what those 5 are. Otherwise I will forget, not because I don't know my stuff, but purely because the way my brain works is that I go on tangents and I tell more interesting stories, and then I forget what I was talking about in the first place. So they're probably my 2 rules of thumbs. Make sure your battery's charged, have headphones if you can. You can probably hear all my background noise today, but you know, this was unplanned. So, but they're probably my top tips to start with. I'm sure Tristan will say stuff and I'll go, oh yeah.
Yeah, cool. So my top tips are that, yeah, I totally agree with you, to do with letting people know beforehand. One of the best things you can do, a lot of people who are doing it, people are putting out the regular broadcasts. You'll quite often see that people are now, you know, creating graphical images that they can put out on their various different social media platforms. That allows them to draw a new audience. For people who are doing that and using it through Twitter, by using an image on Twitter, it means you can tag an extra 10 people. Sorry, we're getting like, check this out, freshers all walking past my car right now. Yeah, the putting out a graphical, like an image in your tweet, allows you to tag 10 people, but obviously only tag people that it's relevant to. With regards to that, if I'm doing a broadcast and Vincenzo's in, I'm obviously going to tag him, and if he's got guests that he knows he's going to bring on the show, we'd tag them as well. And then a couple of people that I know will regularly support my show and share that for me, because obviously everybody's got a different audience and you can bring a few people through there. So making sure that you're letting people know and making that as effective use of your time as possible, because obviously your time on broadcast is only one element of what your live stream is about. there's obviously an element side to how you promote it to make it busy and make it a good broadcast in the first place. The second one is obviously make sure that you are prepared. That doesn't mean have a script. You know, like Sarah said, a few key points and notes is always a good idea. Quite often I'm actually going to put a recording up of, because I actually sometimes screen record from this end so you can see what's actually going on my computer while I'm broadcasting, like the fact that there's a GIF capture sat over Sarah's face for the whole broadcast, and things like that. So you can see that I have a notepad document open and how I capture my GIFs and all of those different things, because it's about trying to make the broadcast as smooth and seamless as possible, bearing in mind your time and the time of your audience who are giving up their time to come and watch and join in on your broadcast. So the second one is obviously to plan. Third one is, it's kind of tied into the second one, but the third one is to make sure that you not only prepare yourself, but you prepare your equipment. And that is, and I am massively failing at life today. As you can see, I don't have my headset on today. But as you can see, I'm out in town. I actually got called to something on my way here, and going live was more important than going and getting the equipment and delaying the broadcast. So in being prepared, making sure that your battery is ready, you have the best connection you can possibly get for your circumstances where you are, which would obviously be wired would be your first choice, Wi-Fi would be your second choice, connecting in. I mean, right now, like I'm on a 3G connection, and it seems to be holding up okay. But also making sure that you put yourself in an environment, like I've put myself inside a car. I was outside a busy nightclub a minute ago, but I can put myself in a car, people walking past, it's not too much noise. I've controlled the environment that I'm broadcasting in because I'm aware I don't have a headset. I've chosen to go to my laptop because obviously it's a better broadcast medium for me, for what we're doing with the show. So having all of those things prepared, making sure that they're charged. In fact, my battery on my phone, in fact, the reason that Scott came to my car is because his phone's actually died. He was hoping that he could charge his phone in the car, but unfortunately, I'm currently using all of the leads for
hold on. I just came here because you're a nice guy.
Oh yeah.
Came to say hello.
Look at this, getting heckled over here. So yeah, making sure that your equipment stuff is ready, is charged, and ready to go. Obviously considering things like what can you do about, you know, your lighting and stuff like that as well is obviously really important. So that's kind of pre-broadcast. It's important, like you say, put it out on the mediums. One thing, if you're scheduling blabs, which I've noticed a lot of people are forgetting to do, is once you schedule your blab, the first thing you should do is tell a little bird, because if you want to use that later on, if you want to get the short link, or you want to create your graphic and then put the image, put the link for it under the image and things, to save you having to come back and find it here, it will automatically be on your Twitter stream. And obviously, as soon as you schedule, by tweeting it out, it means that already people are coming through and subscribing. So it means you can start pushing those subscriber numbers up. Also, a good tip is when you've got that graphic, or even if you're not going down the route of graphics, is create yourself maybe 2 or 3 ways to talk about what your broadcast is that's coming up, and schedule some things, whether you're using Hootsuite or Buffer or whatever. Put some stuff in that regularly between when you schedule and when you go live, it puts those out for you. So Sarah, what do you do about telling people and making sure that it's kind of keeping up? I know you said that you're, you know, failing a little bit of life on the on the whole other bits, but yeah, what do you do by way of that?
How do you mean, like once I'm in the broadcast?
No, like between going, say, setting up a broadcast and then before you go live again. So obviously we've talked about kind of creating bits, but what's the things that you do between the two, kind of setting up your scheduling, your...
Okay, so Blab specifically, I use Buffer to automate content going into my feed. Sorry, I must have makeup in my eye, stinging like hell. So if you see me rubbing my eye. And I have recently started creating a graphic for Blab, and then I will put that into my Buffer feed so it automatically tweets out at certain times. So I will do it through the day and also through the night time, so it captures different audiences. And further to that, I actually don't do it every day because it's got people's handles in it. I don't want to bug them. So at the moment, I've got one coming up with Brian Kramer and Brian Fanzo, and I know how many notifications they must get. So I kind of feel a little bit obligated not to put it up every day. So I do it a couple of times a week. And by a couple, I literally mean 2. When it's like me and Victoria and Colleen, for example, I pretty much tweet that every day, just because I know that they don't mind. And because our show is weekly, it seems to be, we kind of just expect that as soon as the graphic is created, Victoria creates it. Once the graphic's created, we just go nuts with it. So from the time I schedule a blab, excuse me, we also put it on Facebook. So I'm okay with that. I'm bad at my periscopes. Blab's a bit different. If I'm doing a blab, I tend to promote on different channels. I've still got to do my Instagram graphic. But okay, great, thanks. Okay, go and get some. So yeah, we put it on Facebook. I put it on Twitter, and I'm about to start putting it on Instagram as well. So that's kind of what I do in that time. That's probably as far as I go promoting it, because the other thing is when you go live, as I think you explained, Tristan, you get the desktop notification provided that it's not turned off, or some people have emails on. And so I find that even if not a lot of people subscribe, because I have like, nearly 700 people following me on here, I find that by way of me going live brings people in anyway. So I don't stress too much about it, put it that way.
So, I mean, that's a good one. I'm just going to answer a question that's coming on the side here. So someone was just saying about Buffer. So Buffer is, if you go to buffer.com, basically it's a scheduling tool that, unlike others where you go, oh, what time, what's the time I'm going to go and put this broadcast out, is when you set your Buffer up, you can say, hey, these are the best times for me to put my stuff out. For me, when I'm in Australia, kind of between, 10 and 12 is a really good time for me to send stuff out, because I'm trying to hit 3 different time zones. Yeah. So I might set my Buffer to go out at 8:30, kind of quarter to 9, and 9:30 as my kind of main push, and then I might have a couple scattered through the day as well. And it allows me to basically, unlike others, you basically, when you find content, you throw stuff into what's called your buffer queue, and then it will then send them when it gets to that next key time, and we'll send that out for you. So scheduling that out is a really good one. Another thing is, obviously we do a lot of stuff on the broadcast as well, so I'm going to go before and after. I'm going to kind of jump a little bit here. Is the scheduling before, scheduling afterwards is just as important. So you've created a valuable piece of content, especially if you're keeping to set times and you know how long the broadcast is and what's in it. At the end of it, you can schedule up. So like the top tips that we've given, if we've got a note of what the top tips are, there's a whole load of content that you just curated. So why wouldn't you then jump straight into Buffer or straight into whatever it is, your Hootsuite or whatever, and schedule out your tweets to go out? Because that's a whole load more content there where you can add value, and you can put the link to this blab. So sharing that, where we said on here on the left-hand side, now this is a really, really big tip as well, is if you look if you're on the desktop and you look on the left-hand side, or you look back into your Twitter feed, if you've tweeted out during a broadcast, there's a short link. That short link is not visible on this page once your broadcast is finished and comes back as a replay. So you have to go and get it from your tweet or copy it in from here. But that's a really useful thing to have when you're scheduling out. You might say Sarah's top tip 1, post it out, watch the replay here and put the link in. But obviously when you put a link into Twitter, you do lose 23 characters. So Sarah needs to cut her tips down to be very short so that they fit with the 140 characters.
Cool. I sent you a DM. Cool. What's next?
Blab on Buffer. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I'm happy to do that. We'll have to schedule that one up though, about Buffer. That's cool. So yeah, posting, scheduling your stuff beforehand to get people into the broadcast, and then repurposing your stuff afterwards. So repurposing, what ways, Sarah? You know, I'm a big one on the repurpose.
You are.
From our chats. I'm going to let you go first, and then I'll fill in any blanks where I feel like we could repurpose even more. So if you can give me any ways that you can think of that you could repurpose. So we're talking about blab specifically right now. Yeah. How would you repurpose if you were to do a great blab? What?
I mean, I can only say what I've seen because my website's down at the moment, so I haven't repurposed anything. But I've seen blabs that have then been turned into blog posts. I've seen, I mean, even if you're talking down to people taking images of, like, if you screenshot, say, me and Tristan right now, and then added that into a blog post, reposted that on Twitter saying what it was about. I mean, Tristan constantly captures GIFs and puts them on Twitter and tags people in them. What else? I mean, you could put them back into your buffer feed. Yeah. If it was a valuable blab and there was a lot of actionable content, you could give it a new title to keep it fresh, and then pop it in your buffer feed. And the great thing about buffer is that you can see the click-throughs, so you can actually see if it's working, and then which time zone are actually taking you up on that. So yeah, they're probably the ways off the top of my head that I can think of repurposing them. Oh, yeah. And putting them on YouTube if you've got a YouTube channel.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to go all in now, and I'm going to give you basically what the ultimate repurpose is in my eyes of what you could do with a blab. So obviously the most basic you can get is you've got a recording, take that, stick it on YouTube. In fact, there's now, with the button, broadcast this to put this straight onto YouTube when it's finished and recorded. So Blab's made that really easy for you. So that's the first thing, put this straight into YouTube. A better way to do it is actually to take the broadcast, cut it into chunks, and then make it relevant. Alternatively, put the broadcast up. And for those of you who know anything about YouTube and sharing links from YouTube, you can actually link to a specific time inside of a broadcast. So if you scrub to the place you want where an answer is given for something, or Sarah's top tips, you can actually take, when you click the share bit at the bottom under the YouTube video, it asks you if you'd like to select that exact spot in the video, and then you can use that. So when you then do your tweet, or whether it's an Instagram, like a still shot of the blab or things like that, you can link directly to that bit of the video, because it might be a 45-minute broadcast and you want to be the most specific and give the most value and actionable content to the people who are looking at it. So still taking screenshots of your blab as well is another great one, using for Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and basically you can put them on any platforms, but that's my preferred ways to do it. Obviously there's the whole, you can do animated GIFs during the broadcast, or go back to the replay and do it. So if someone's missed doing them during a broadcast, you can actually go back and do them from the replays as well. It's less fun because you don't get to see the people's reactions when you put them up in the feed, but you can still do that. But it's a really good way to do it. I mean, one thing that we were discussing was the creation of graphics to do with your pre-broadcast. But if you look at your post-broadcast, you might want to take an image of someone looking really expressive or doing some big hand action or something on screen, and then put that into a graphic that has the caption of what they said, so that you could then share it to Twitter or to Facebook or somewhere else. So you're repurposing again. So I'm going to post a thing up here. So it's relevant and irrelevant to what we're talking about. So this is a post that I put up recently where I've dropped an image in. So you can see here, sticking a photo in with a caption and then putting your handle in. Now, a good reason to put the handle in is because if someone copies it, saves it, or shares it in their blog, you want to have who put it there for you to then get the credit for the quote. People are notorious, as a digital photographer, people are notoriously bad at stealing stuff repurposing it and not crediting you. So make it easy for them to credit you by putting it on there. If you've seen people who are good with Instagram, their Instagram images tend to have their own branding, their own title on it, or their handle, so that when you share it, it's etiquette that you would leave it there. Otherwise, you'd have to recrop it anyway. So with regards to doing that, how do you go about doing it? It's pretty easy. There's some free tools out there. One that we've been discussing this week, Canva.com. You don't need to have a degree in design or anything like that. You can basically just throw in your own. So you take a still image of a blab or someone, and you can just upload it in there, and you can pick some pre-designed templates. And the benefit of using something like Canva is that they keep on top of what the dimensions are for a Twitter post, and for, you know, the breakdown of all the different social media sizes, whether it's a Facebook cover or a Twitter post or a Twitter advert. They're all done, and they keep on top of the dimensions, so you don't need to worry, is this going to look good on that platform? So that's a great way to do it. So do add that one in. There's a whole load of other things that you can use as well. So how to edit out some content from blab if you don't want all the blab. So depending what your platform is, whether you're on a Mac or Windows, you would use different products. There's a whole range of products out there. Do ping me a DM, and I'll probably deal with that. I'm just conscious that I want to fly through and try and give as much to everybody who's in the room. But if you do want to ask that, I will be on Twitter for kind of half hour, 40 minutes after the show, if you want to ping some stuff through to us. So yeah, I mean, like this, being able to do this GIF now, I could now take, repurpose, add a caption. So actually you can add text over the top of GIFs, and that's a tool that I will tweet out. So make sure that you're following me at ATW Networking on Twitter. I will send that out after the show as well. So there's a whole range of different tools you can use. Canva's my preferred one. It's a free tool that allows you to quickly create something without any graphical knowledge.
Cool. I just want to address something. Something that was being asked in the comments about, do you need people's permission to repost blab pictures, or if you're reposting the comments? But I mean, I don't know for sure. I was saying no, but I would hazard a guess no, because this is public. There's nothing about this that is private. So you don't, I would say, what do you say, Tristan? Because I would say you don't need permission, by way of the fact that anybody could come on here provided they have a Twitter handle.
Yeah, I mean, you don't even need a Twitter handle to be able to access this, because you could watch from an incognito browser. I mean, we've got +2 in here, which means there's 2 people that are watching that aren't logged in. With that in mind, anything you're doing on Blab is a public broadcast. You're putting yourself in a public space. It's no different, as a photographer, for me, it's no different than you being out in the street. That you're putting yourself into a public space where somebody has the right to capture that image. And therefore, as a photographer, if the image is, I'm not sure, and I'm not talking globally, but from all the experience of places that I've been and I've worked, you're entitled to capture that image. And once you capture the image is your copyrighted content to use as you please. So I would say that you can capture it and you can use it. It is good etiquette, however, to credit people for whatever it is. If you saw massive value in this and you thought enough of it to capture something from a broadcast and want to share it, why wouldn't you want to credit them? And also, by crediting them, what happens is you get this reciprocal thing where if you've posted something, you've gone, oh, Sarah put out some good content, I've captured this animated GIF, I've put it up on my Twitter, and I tag her, what's she likely to do? She's probably going to reshare it she's not going to then take it down and use it herself. She'll probably just retweet you, which means that actually you now put yourself in front of her audience as well. By supporting her and tagging her, she's more likely to do that. And that's a really good way to also build relationships and connections online as well. So.
Cool. Daniel. Hi, Daniel.
Yeah. So we're going to only probably do another, we are slightly over on the 25 minutes. I think we'll go for like maybe another 5 minutes. And then I'm going to have to jump because I am out and about. So yeah, it's, if anybody's got any questions and stuff on there that they wanted to ask, then please
the other thing, did we mention that you can use Blab to podcast, except for the fact that I don't even know if that functionality is still...
Oh, I never actually did my full repurpose, did I? So the ultimate way that you could repurpose, and I'm actually going to put my hand over comments here so that I don't get distracted. And that's another thing, is trying to stay on focus so that you deliver the content how you want to deliver it. Is if you recorded a blab, it provides you with the video and an audio file which you could repurpose. That audio file could then become a podcast, which I would say put out as a full podcast if you're happy with the broadcast, but also cut it into small snippets that you can share to entice people to go to the podcast. If there's a real, key nugget in there and you know roughly where it was, take it out, use something, like Audacity or something like that. There's plenty of tools out there that you can use to do that. Cut them up and put them in, whether it's on SoundCloud or you put it out through iTunes, however you want to do that. So a podcast, broadly speaking, or just, a self-hosted MP3 online for people to go and consume your content. The easier you make it for people to get to it, the more people will engage with your content. It doesn't take a lot of time to repurpose once you've create an hour of content and then if you spent another hour chopping it into a whole load of pieces and creating images and graphics, it might, it's double the amount of time, but the amount of engagement you will get will be way over and above double what you would get if you just, threw that video up or left it where it was. So using the still images, animated GIFs, creating graphics where there's captions or the key points, and tagging and sharing with people is a key one. The making from the broadcasts, I mean, this is a brilliant one. These are squares in here. So if you actually if you did like a screen record of the broadcast, you could actually take the square and put those. I mean, I know Instagram has now changed its dimensions, but I'm still a strong believer that it should stay square. Is take that 15-second nugget of information, throw it up on Instagram and say, watch the broadcast here, and send them back to watch the full broadcast. So that's another way that you can bring people in. So you can have the podcast, you can have the still images, the animated GIFs, and those things you would put into a blog post where you would write your content out. Now, people go, oh yeah, but now I've got to sit and write a big long blog post. Not if you're clever. If you're clever, what you would do is, whilst you're broadcasting, you can actually use dictation software to listen to what you're saying, which will actually write your content for you. Alternatively, you can use like a transcription service afterwards, someone through Fiverr or Airtasker or something like that, where you give them the audio recording and then they transcribe the whole thing for you. You just go through, neaten it up and put it out. So you've got a podcast, a video, which is also here and on YouTube so that it can be discovered in more places, a couple of MP3 snippets. You would then repurpose all of the images and things to drive people across to your content. What else did I miss? Images, podcasts, videos. Yeah, and also talking about it, just putting out just regular text bits so that you can drive people through. So I hope that was helpful. And I hope someone got some animated GIFs of me looking confused.
Yeah, that was wonderful. You did one of me. How did you do one of me on your phone?
I'm not on my phone. I'm on my MacBook. Check this out. I'm in my car on my MacBook.
Okay.
Look.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll try not to close it too much or I'll get disconnected. Yeah, I know. Someone did say, was I driving? No, I wasn't driving. The light's moving there because I'm parked, and I'm parked where it's a dead end. So people keep driving and turning around. So it looks like I'm moving, potentially. But also you can see that I'm not moving. The car's starting to steam up. We're not going anywhere. The fan's not on and the engine's not running.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Yeah, I was just fooling people into thinking I was moving.
He's in
so, if anybody's got any questions quickly, yeah, I'm in Bournemouth on the south coast of England. Anyone who wanted to know, this is actually the town that I graduated university in. So yeah, it was good. If anyone's got any questions, if you wanted to ask quickly, hey Danny, how you doing? You just caught the end of the broadcast. You get to see our lovely faces for about another minute. If no one's got any more questions. Just quickly check in, see if there's anything I missed. I'm just going to bring it up is being a little bit slow. So yeah, sorry. Someone asked about if there's any streaming trends. We're not going to do trends today because we're doing a shorter broadcast, but we will do it on the next show. Did the permissions? Should you blur out the conversation box if you screen share? It's totally down to you. Like I said, it's in a public forum, so there's a whole load of things that we've kind of discussed that already. Someone asked about the +2. +2 in the viewers row is, or it's +1 now, is people who are watching who are not logged in. So that could be in an incognito browser or that they just haven't signed into Blab. How has Blab impacted both your businesses in terms of ROI, directly or indirectly? For me, I have, at the moment, I still have 100% conversion from anyone who's come to work with me from Blab. So, well, from live stream actually, because I've had stuff from Periscope and I've had stuff from Blab, because it gives you a place where you can showcase your authenticity and your knowledge, so that people say, hey, I really want to work with this person. So if anyone wants to work with myself or Sarah, please do contact us afterwards, because I know that I'm just going to give this one over here a little nudge to shamelessly promote herself, because that's one thing a lot of people are maybe not doing as well as they could be, is reminding people, you know, what's your call to action on the end of the Blab. For us, we actually use Twitter afterwards to do a follow-up and for people to be able to connect with us and ask specific things of us if it's something from the broadcast that we haven't covered. I try to go through and look at all the comments and deal with them during the broadcast, but sometimes it's just not possible. So Sarah, shamelessly promote yourself. Go.
I'm going to shamelessly promote. But yeah, I've basically jumped on Blab with the intention of using it to network with people who are influential. And that's been very, very good for me. Let's just put it that way. So I never went onto it trying to get a client. Because the other thing is, right, I understand at the moment that it's a huge, like, that a lot of people on here are marketers. I wouldn't say majority or anything, but a lot of people that run in the circles that I run in are marketers, or they're just mucking around with it. So I was very aware of that, but I came on here to extend the conversation with people that I've met through Periscope or through Twitter. And that's been amazing for my personal brand and my personal brand exposure. It's broadened my network like freaking crazy. And there's things in the works, collaborations in the works, and yeah, things like that going on, happening. So we have a show every Friday at the moment. Myself, Victoria, and Colleen, we do a social media show every Friday. It's Friday morning at like 6 a.m. for me. Different times because they're both in the UK and the US. But that's said hi to you
as well, by the way.
Hey?
I don't know if you caught that in the comments. I'm just reading through the comments that they said hi from.
Yeah, I was actually on the Periscope, but I had it on silent. But I knew that they would have said hi because Victoria did a Periscope about me this morning. She's like, we miss our Aussie. So Kelly has a penny jar to bring me to the States. 23 cents so far. You're hilarious. So that's kind of how I've approached Blab. And it's been amazing for that. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So if you want to know what I do digital strategy. And I major in the social space. So Twitter, Facebook, live streaming, pretty much those spaces, and Instagram. I don't really touch Pinterest.
Yeah.
So.
Cool. So if you wanted to follow and catch Sarah, who's doing your next one? Because your next show, is it you? Whose channel is it on?
I'm hosting it again because, do you want me to find it? Because
no, it's there. There's the link. If anyone wants to go and check out that show, please do. It's blab.im/the_Sarah_more in the chat there. Please go and support Sarah she's come in giving you some knowledge bombs. So go and support her and check out her other broadcasts and make sure you subscribe.
The other one we've got there is with Brian Kramer, who's a TED speaker. He wrote the book Shareology. Brian Fanzo will be on that show as well. It's going to be amazing. It's all about sharing versus oversharing on social media, and when too far is too far in the age of transparency and authenticity. I think it's a pretty hot topic. I heard it come up 3 times in 1 week, and that's why I approached Brian Kramer to kind of do that with help from Kelly, who nudged me and was like, you need to do this. So appreciate that, Kelly. Kelly's going to moderate the chat too.
Awesome.
So sign up to
that's another thing. If you're doing a broadcast like this, it is quite a good idea to have a co-host or somebody help you moderate, because it is, I mean, even in the short broadcast that we've done, there's a whole screen's worth of questions, a whole screen's worth of mentions, and obviously you're trying to focus on keeping the content relevant and concise, but at the same time you need to not neglect the audience as well. So it's a really good idea to do that. And I'm actually going to give props to Christy, who's Make Me a Harp, who actually does a lot of my community management and dealing with a lot of the content side of things behind the scenes that people maybe don't get to see. So when there's a lot of people involved sometimes when you come on and you see the face on camera. It's not always just the person on camera. So make sure that you give props to the people who are helping you out and who are sharing your stuff as well when they're involved. So on that note, I'm going to stop the recording. I just wanted to say before I do, thanks a lot, everybody, for jumping in. Thanks for the questions. I hope that you've all got some useful information. There's been a lot of positive feedback from people on the side and in the mentions and the questions. If there's anything that you think we should have covered, please do let us know through Twitter. I'm at ATW Networking, and Sarah's at the _Sarah_more. Please do connect with us outside of here. If you're not already following us, follow us both on here as well. I appreciate your time. And this show is every single week at the same time, regardless of whether I'm sat in a car, at my desk, or in a nightclub. I will be on the broadcast for some length of time. Normally Vincenzo is on here with us as well. Unfortunately, he couldn't make today. So for anyone who wanted to learn any more bits and pieces, please connect. And I look forward to catching you with or without Poppy next week.